makes Busia a unique OSPP is that we are fully operational. And that means that the Ugandan official is free to carry out his mandate while in Kenya. And there is no limit as far as that is concerned. The second very beautiful thing about the Busia OSPP is that we are able to resolve our issues here that make the border function.
It is Friday 17th of January 2020 and you're watching UBC Inspiring Uganda. This is Business Today. My name is Rowena Kajumba. Of course, we're going to bring you the latest in business. We'll start off with our corporate news, and what we're going to focus on is the new mobile network that we're all anticipating for, and that is Lyca Mobile. You know, just like you've had the MTNs, just like you have the Airtel now, so many times we've had many others, like we have had a number of them, Celtel, you know, Zain and those. So now we're going to take you into this particular report that is going to focus on a new entrant that is Lyca Mobile.
Uganda Mobile Network System has expanded to give mobile network users a wide choice, with the new entrant being a UK-based Lyca Mobile. Since 2006, Lyca Mobile has been operating as a virtual telecom service provider in 23 countries, utilizing existing telecom infrastructure to serve their customers.
We are in 24 countries, but then you are using somebody else's network, and this is the first time. We are very proud of it. That means we set up our own infrastructure, we use your own product, so we are much more flexible to give a better product to the customer.
Before Lyca Mobile, there have been 5 mobile network operators in Uganda: Airtel, MTN, Africell, Smile and Uganda Telecom. However, high data charges have been a grapple for most consumers.
I communicate more on WhatsApp than calls, okay? So there's this problem that been in people actually put on your data, for example, 500 GBs, and it has to expire after 12 hours, okay? But it may expire when I've used like 100 GBs, okay? So if we can get actually the way they can revise into that policy, that if I put my data on the phone, okay, it can run, actually it's unlimited data.
Lyca Mobile enters stiff competition for market share within the mobile network industry.
So like we do with all our UK business here in Uganda, we kind of support the Ugandan government. If there's any particular need, we will approach the government, or they will approach us, and we can offer support or recommendations for companies that could actually support them and actually help them grow.
As of January 2020, Uganda has over 25 million mobile phone users and a nationwide penetration rate of 71%, with Kampala alone accounting to 50%. Reporting for UBC News, Penina Nawera.
Thank you so much, Penina. Now, moving on, Total Uganda Limited and Stanbic Bank have entered a partnership for the customers here, in this particular case with the prepaid Total fuel cards, to actually top up more conveniently with the Stanbic agents across the country.
Total Uganda has entered an understanding with Stanbic Bank to enable customers top up their business-to-customer cards at Stanbic Bank agents.
We are looking at the objective of convenience, number one, making sure that customers don't need to go too far away to be able to find an opportunity to load their Total cards. 2, safety, where we don't want people to carry cash, because there's a safety and security risk when people carry too much cash, both for our customers and also for our stations.
On cybersecurity, Stanbic Bank's digital footprint in the country is one of the factors that qualify it for the initiative.
So you will see that a lot of these POS systems that we're using, they're all fully secure. They have a patch of cybersecurity protection on them. In addition, there are some other things that we're doing behind the scenes where we monitor these transactions. So we've got people looking and understanding, okay, that doesn't make sense. How come there's a POS system in Bunamwaya, which is now all of a sudden selling 2 million liters of fuel? So we have other ways of tracking to make sure that everything remains within certain limits.
The business-to-customer card has a 3-year validation designed to allow a range of customers utilize Total services from fuel to shop.
If you have a smartphone, we want to make it possible so that you can load through your smartphone. Okay, if you don't have a smartphone, you can go to agents, banking, to an agent. If you can use your mobile money.
The fourth industrial revolution in Uganda is starting to shape small and large-scale businesses to partner through digital innovations. Reporting for UBC News, Wadulo Makano.
Thank you so much, Rodolfo McArnold. Now, of course, that if we're looking at convenience, there's so many ways. Of course, we're seeing the banking sector come through and try to engage and involve itself in so many ways. But moving on, the public procurement and disposal of public assets is undertaking a contract audit on the procurement of the gowns by Makerere University. Now, PPDA Acting Executive Director, that is Uthman Segawa, says that the university should have followed the 15th of February 2018 Buy Uganda, Build Uganda agreement that provides for exclusive reservation for contracts for nationals. Now, of course, let's take a look there before we can come back later and discuss this.
This particular contract was undertaken in financial year 15-16. We are in financial year 19-20. It was a procurement that we are yet to get the details after reviewing the file, but it was not undertaken this financial year. We are meant to understand that it is a framework. Our contract audit will get to the details as to whether there were any breaches of our law. We got to know this from the press coverage, and we requested Makerere to get us this information. And there are a number of sanctions that PPDA can do in this procurement. Where I find out that the provider, for example, has not complied to the contractual obligations, there is suspension of a provider.
It is time for our digest, but just a reminder, today is a Friday, and quite often I do have my colleague Dennis Sigwal comes on, and we take a look at a couple of reports. Now, he'll be joining me very shortly here. But real quick, there's a number of things here that are being talked about in regards to the internet tax proposal, and of course, in this particular letter that was written, letter of the day, we're looking at the fact that they're saying ACOL's internet tax proposal is illegal. Now, Uganda Revenue Authority Commissioner General there, that is Doris Akol, on Monday proposed that the government starts a tax internet on data bundles and ditch the infamous over-the-top, that is the OTT or social media tax. Now, Akol made this proposal while presenting the budget framework paper for the authority to the Parliament's Finance Committee there. Now, of course, the number of things are being talked about and how this is actually illegal, but according to Akol, of course, they're trying to deal with the fact that some people are going onto the virtual private networks there that many of you know as the VPNs, and are dodging to pay for the tax. And what Akol's new proposal here, however, does not legally fly. If such a move ever goes beyond a mere proposal, then it will be what they would call as a fraud with the legal challenges, as it will they're going to explain here eventually. Now, they're saying that our good and well-paid legislators have never bothered to amend the weights and measurements here, the Measurements Act. And of course, we are still operating under a colonial law that was made in 1965. According to Clause 13 of the Act, no person shall use for trade any unit of measurement. In this particular case, in our case, we are looking at the MBs, which is not included in the Act, and it does not, in this particular case, matter that data bundles cannot be seen with the naked eye. So what we're looking at, a similar hurdle here was faced in 2015 when prepaid electricity, in this particular case, was introduced in Uganda, for instance, in this particular case, to the trade minister, and they're saying that this became a problem because some of these things are not actually within our current acts. They've not been amended, and so it would be illegal if we're looking at the proposal here by ACOL. You know, the one we talked about, that you need to, while you pay for your data or for your MBs, that the OTT is actually on that, other than paying for your data bundles, and then again go ahead and pay for the OTT. So they're saying this could quite be illegal because there's a similar problem we faced when they prepaid, you know, for like the Yaka that we're all having, for the Umeme and a number of other things, that we wake up and we feel like we have solutions, but the kind of laws we have in place might not actually allow for these things to happen. So that is a very interesting one, and something that probably many of us can exhaust. Of course, we're looking at a ban here on individual border cyclists. I think many of us saw this coming. We're having so many apps. Now, of course, with me in studios is Dennis Tegua. He's also holding a paper there because I am looking at the New Vision and he has the monitor. But Dennis, thank you for making time. I know I'm going to just throw you into the digest. But look at some of these things that we're looking at or discussing. The proposal there that has been looked at in terms of how to deal with the issue of OTT. Some people have been dodging to pay for the tax.
I like. I think you need to refresh your statement a bit.
Yes.
Not some people.
Majority of the people.
I think some of us who tend to create Wi-Fi's, like hotspot using our phones, are the ones who have actually been paying this OTT for a long time because they have a couple of phones, so have to create a Wi-Fi. And you know, most people have downloaded VPNs. Actually, I think even there's a possibility even our legislators must be operating on VPNs.
Definitely.
I think, I don't know, the proposal of OTT of URA sounds as if it's a good one because one, as I remember we interacted with the CG sometime last year, and they said OTT was the worst performing tax measure. Implemented it was the worst performing, and now in its second financial year, you can see they're trying to push for some kind of I think I'll look at it as a proactive measure of ensuring that everyone pays at least pays the tax. You know, I find it. I've been across the East African region in the last couple of months, like for the last 4 months. Last 4 months, that is in 2019. I managed to be across all countries. Like I will say, the only country that I missed was Burundi, but I was in Tanzania. I was in
maybe this year.
I was in South Sudan. I was in Kenya. I was as well as of course Uganda. I was in Rwanda. But you realize we are the only ones who have such a tax. I think in one way or another, this tax should be put should be in, like, the moment when you I think the telecom company that tax should be factored into their the airtime, because in that case it will be very difficult for someone to evade it. That's why I'm wondering, because you realize of course, like if you're in Tanzania, you realize making a call is very expensive, and there's it's very, very costly. So definitely there's some reason as to why it's like that.
The thing with Uganda is that there's so many players. And everyone is trying to outcompete the others' rates, and everyone is trying to get more people on board. Everyone is trying to be affordable. Everyone is trying to say, well, we are quite accessible all over the country. So I think that's where the challenge does.
I think so. And you know, the only big thing about this, one thing that is really like it's causing some form of dilemma, because you know the technology is advancing very fast. I'm so sure if at all it's not, OTT is not inside the cradle stuff, or maybe even it's not, you don't find the proper way of getting it. I'm telling you, people are still so smart. You can come up with that kind of a new measure, and they still find a way of evading it. You know,
that's true. And then it would also be much more costly, of course.
Of course.
The people, the consumers, would not know. You know, if it's still the same 200 shillings that we're looking at, or because the telecom companies can decide. Well, since it's part of the, you know, buying your data bundles, it gets much more expensive, and the consumer is not aware of how much extra they're probably paying. That becomes a problem. True. But then again, let's get to the law, Dennis, because some of these ideas are amazing solutions, but then we find that we're still dependent on laws that have existed for quite a while. They've not been amended. There's nothing much that has been changed about them. So it becomes very difficult or complicated to work along that.
I think in the case of amendment should take place. You know, there are very many of those proposals. Some of them, you know, we have the bills of 2018, 2019, probably some will come to 2020. Things need to be done. You know, as the technology is advancing, you know, the ICT platform is now a big one. So definitely we need some policies to govern the sector. And definitely, and I think there's need for this, the public to be involved in it, because one, remember why OTT came up? People thought like why they had to use VPNs, because there was less sensitization. They looked at it as a way of gagging the freedom of the public to make some certain statements. But anyway, I think it should have been made to look like the other way around. It's of course everyone should play its part. Everyone should play their part, because we get to hear every now and then that Ugandans are probably the least taxed in the region. So find a way of convincing the public that when you pay a certain amount of taxes, this is what you're going to get. And you remember we had a gentleman whom we interacted with last time at Serena, and he said the challenge is that people, the public, the society is being taxed, but the challenge is that they don't see where the money is going. So they start questioning. You're asking for this, but then the roads, you can see the state of the roads. Of course, you cannot say that our roads are bad, but definitely some people always, there's always that part that has not been fixed.
I think the maintenance of the roads, because roads are done, and in a very short time. I have been disturbed by so many roads within Kampala itself. One might say maybe up country or anything, but even Kampala itself, there's so many potholes, and if it's an issue of maintenance, you know what happens? They just come and just fill, you know, something that will last a month or two. So it becomes very, very disturbing. So pretty much this year or the end of last year, every road I have used has been.
I find the issue of like, for example, I think we're still on the press digest. We're going to really have a lot of discussions. That's why I think I'm here this morning. I arrived this morning actually from Karuma at about 1 a.m.
Oh yes, we're talking about midnight, and you're like, I'm just on my way.
Those issues tend to come up, and I think some of these, I wouldn't say organizations want to do damage control, but I also think us as journalists, we're the mirror of the society.
Expecting something this week.
Yes, definitely. And you know, us as journalists, we communicate to the public, and sometimes you really have to be informed for you to send a through message, which is probably has some form of, not some form, but is a message that is factual. So I was at Karuma right this morning. We had a tour of the new dam that is still under construction. And then, of course, I'm going to give you an insight of what I won't say the exchange, but the discussions we had with the UEGCL, that Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited Board, as well as the spokesperson, that is Simon Kasiate. But then looking at the monitor, I can see, of course, Kenya seizes Ugandan milk, sparks trade row.
Again.
This is it. Remember last time we were talking about issues of East Africa as a region, opening up the borders. We talked about East Africa, the African continental free trade area, which is supposed to come in July. So there are issues. Issues are there.
Issues of standards. But this time it's milk. The other day was sugar. The other time, I think we need to find a way, you know, as the East African community to really, because if our standards are that far apart, then we're going to have a problem.
And that was an issue not of a standard. From what I got to know is that there was an issue of smuggling, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think smuggling. I don't want to mention.
That's a new one for milk.
Here's another story here. Ginger approving collapse. Was it? What was it? Yeah. I saw somewhere.
And
death toll from Ginger during collapse. I think it has
25 appeared missing. I am told so far maybe 5 have been founded, and some few that have gone, that have been taken to the nearest hospital.
So this is some of the discussion we're going to have to because this is business.
It is
It just happened 2-3 days, I think 3 weeks or 2, actually a week ago. There was a building
somewhere else,
collapse in Kampala,
in
now
Kampala.
in Jinja. So what is the problem?
And the site engineer is on the run, as part I read. And it's very disturbing to see that things like this are actually happening and they're going on. But then again, Dennis, before we really, dwell much into that, can you, I want you to tell me, if, maybe I'm the only one saying this, the rate at which buildings are going up, yes? In Kampala or in Jinja or Arua or anywhere, the rate at which these buildings are going up, I don't want to think it's an issue of money, no. Because see, however much money you have, I think a building is supposed to take a certain amount of time, yes, probably for you to go to the next floor, to the next, but if you saw the building, they'd gone to the roofing, or they'd done the roofing and everything, the whole structure pretty much was up. And then that's in a short amount of time of a few months. I, for one, have seen this building and how quick it has gone up. I have seen it. And how fast it's gone up. Like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months.
Yes.
And you're thinking, no. I would want to think at least a good standard would, maybe the shortest time, the building really going up, and you see it, you can visualize its structure and what it will look like, is probably a year. But people are putting up buildings in months, like it's very disturbing, because I don't want to think they're rushing for anything. I don't know, maybe the engineers are not giving the right advice.
They're rushing for something.
I know they're rushing for something, but that's not the right way to do it.
I can see someone telling us to wind up on the Daily Digest.
Yes.
I think so. I think that discussion of that topic should feature in our, because today it's fireworks after
we
this.
We need
we have a lot of
to
issues.
feature
Makere Downs is one of them.
It has to be one of
those. We have the
those.
issue of Bubu, buy Uganda, build Uganda. Is it really working?
Definitely.
Is it
and we're still going to hint on this issue.
There's a lot of talk, but why aren't we walking the talk?
That is
basically,
true.
If you're talking about empowering the local community or the business community in Uganda,
I mean,
why
like,
do we have to take small businesses across?
Let's not even exhaust it. When we come back, we have a number of these things. It's a Friday, and I know there's a number of things that we feel maybe we need to put out there, because it seems people are taking these things for granted. We'll be right back.
Uganda. Today is a great day to make someone's day. A wonderful day to rewrite the future. Today is a beautiful day to light up their world. Or maybe even the perfect day to say, you're my world. A marvelous day to make a brand new start. The perfect day to make the world smaller. Uganda, today isn't just another day. Today is your day. Airtel Money, with you always. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
Just a reminder, it is the 17th, yes, of January 2020. You know, something was telling me the whole time I've been saying 2019.
Please, thank you for reminding me it's the 17th. By the way, you know, this month is done.
Yes.
You know,
you can imagine.
Yes, we are past halfway.
What's with this year?
And
it's
just
rushing.
now February, it is February is the shortest month of the year.
Of the year,
yeah,
that
so
is very
basically
true.
we are almost in March.
Yeah, that is so true. And of course, it is a Friday.
My brother, I've been looking at some of the some people have faces about January. January, you say others have written JANWORRY. So January. So people are worrying about January. Then
I'm quite impressed that this year is doing much better.
I'll tell you about something with my friend in a neighbor who told me about January. Yeah. Then there's another one in Swahili website. January means NJAA. Then WORRY means the month of what? Of hunger. Of hunger. But then I had a friend called, my neighborhood friend called Robert, and they told me then, you know what? In the past, people used to fear so much about January, but surprisingly, this time around I don't hear. I found very few people crying. Yes, about January. It seems that people are fine.
Planning better.
But then he told me there is a possibility. People are now planning for January than December.
Exactly.
Really, yeah, because you cannot be hit once and twice. Like for example, if your building has been struck by lightning for the first time, and they have told you to put lightning arresters, you can't wait for this lightning to strike again.
Exactly.
So you have to be innovative to some.
I do know someone who was planning for January. Well,
no, by the way, I personally planned for January.
Yeah.
I'm planning for December.
Me too. I was like, you know what,
school fees was ready. I think I said at school. Like right now, if my kids will be going to school.
Exactly.
So they ask me, it's already there. Because I knew
you set for it.
I saved for it, and that's the most important thing about now. We really have to do some form of planning rather than now reaching a point when you have this. What are they called? Money lenders knocking on your door, others threatening to arrest you.
I know, and it's quite bad. But of course, it's just a reminder. It's also a Friday, and my colleague here and co-host Dennis Sigoa does come in, and we discuss a number of issues. Now we do have a number of issues that we've been really dying to discuss the entire week.
Yes, sure.
Yes. Now, the situation with Makerere University. So many people have been angry. The students have been affected. We're looking at over 10,000 gowns that were expected, and only about 6,000 were delivered. And it's not even just about the shortage in numbers. It's about the fact that a lot has been said in terms of where these gowns have been ordered from, who got the contract and who hasn't got the contract, and it's quite disturbing. And you know, the discussion has come up that hey, we have our own Ugandans, our nationals, who can actually do this work. Things that can be done here.
I've always looked at there are some topics that really not anger me, but sometimes as a business reporter, as a journalist, we tend to do a lot of stories that are focused on development, especially if you're a business reporter. That's basically what we do almost every other day of our life. And just know, like, is it on Tuesday? We had the launch of Carrefour down here at a new supermarket at OSS Mall, and I managed to interact with the Minister for Trade, that is Amelia Chambade. And of course, during her speech, she emphasized so much on Bubu, right? And which is a good thing. And Bubu, if we don't give our locals, the local entrepreneurs, a chance to supply the market. You know, me sometimes I sit in a restaurant and I get a toothpick. For example, I'm giving it a very simple example. Why should we import toothpicks from China?
Toothpicks that can be done here.
Now tell me, just trees? What is the magic, you know, of getting toothpicks from a tree to the table?
And they've actually, we have very good.
Or is it? And sometimes I ask myself, are these toothpicks made somewhere else? Here within the Uganda, then branded China, so that it can be sold in our local market in a certain, maybe expensively. You know, that is the same thing. Then
we can't take all the opportunities.
We can't take
from our Ugandans.
Yes, how do you do that? You know, it is like if you know, there is that element of patriotism. You know, patriotism is not supposed to be just from the word of mouth. It should be coming from inside you, because at the end of the day, why should we? Gowns have been made here all through for so many years.
So many years.
We have Makerere is celebrating, I think, 70th graduation ceremony. They have been having gowns for 70 years.
Imagine.
You know, the gowns have been supplied for 70 years. So why now is it? Have the students become too many for us to go to China, so that because we have better factories to supply?
And I know when you talked about the certain issues that really sort of make you very unhappy,
Yes.
if I could use those words. Because think about it, all the years that the gowns have been made, good gowns, many of us have graduated, whether from Makerere or from all the private universities, and of course this demand has been met. I don't know if we're talking about the quality, because we do have good quality materials here. We have our small and medium enterprises here. If you want a big, contract, we have the Nitils. We have
Of course.
the people.
I hear
that
the
we
president's
need to
shirt is made at
support.
Nightingale. He has said it. I've covered his
you.
function, and he says
Many of
this
his
shirt,
clothes.
his trademark white shirts.
And the
He says
yellow
they're
ones.
made. They're locally made. They are, I'm sure.
And the shoes?
Yes, the shoes are locally made. Why
So-
should we? They all look at us. Someone who's watching this program, they're like, maybe these guys just have a vendetta. We don't have any
No.
vendetta. It's not like that, because when we want, if we want to empower a community, we want to empower our own people to pay these OTT taxes, of course, which some of them are being, some people are evading. Give them chances, let them, because what is in a gown anyway? Even kids, kids in the nursery schools, schools now make for them gowns, almost the same quality as the ones that are there at maybe the hoods are the only ones that are a bit different. But
yes.
this black cloth that people put on, you have to import it from China, honestly.
And this has really annoyed not just us,
Yes.
even the students, because think about it. The students are coming from across the country.
Yes.
Someone walks into the university to
Yes.
try and purchase, and of which it is much more expensive,
Yeah.
think about it, than the gown they would have purchased if they were locally made. Yes? So now the gowns are much more expensive. Here you are transporting yourself, yes, to come all the way to the university to get a gown. And do you know what you're told? Oh, well, we cannot get the gowns, come back tomorrow.
Yes.
And then you have to go back and come back. If you're lucky, you're going to have spend more expenses to find somewhere to stay in Kampala. And it's not just even transportation.
They are there.
Kampala
We're
is
looking at the
expensive.
gowns there on the screen.
Exactly.
You have seen them.
I've
Is
seen
there
them.
any magic that is
I don't see
needs to
anything,
make such
and
a
it's very
cloth?
annoying because, see, these are the same people that are claiming, whoever the board or whoever was in charge of this, whichever committee, was in charge of that. These are the same people that are saying that they are not being treated fairly, and the same people treating their students not fairly.
And you see, I got to hear, sometimes some of these things people treat them as rumors, like the previous suppliers were not paid.
Imagine, but you're paying all this much money.
Sorry, the previous suppliers are not paid. So of course, if I have a contract with you, right, and I'm supposed to supply you, we have a deal. Because there's a bidding process for all this. This is not just a deal that is given from out of the blues, out of the bushes. No, the people, we have like 100 bidders who are given a chance to step out there and tell me what is your capacity.
Exactly.
What is your capacity? We need 40,000 gowns. We need 100,000 gowns.
Exactly.
This is, for
Of which you
example,
can have multiple
the
of
bidding
them.
process goes through maybe in September, and you are told by November 30th who can bid. You are supposed to have delivered this and that. You have injected your money. When you deliver this, we clear you. Why should it drag until now?
Exactly.
And why should besides that, you really look at me. My biggest issue, and this is why I even talked. I wanted to toss that question to Amelia, but then she was in a hurry. But I think
because
we
now
as
the
a country-
PPDA is coming out now to say, well, we are going to audit.
Yes.
But many would have said, well, this could have been stopped from the beginning.
Yes.
Why do we come in now? Yes.
And
it's
PPDA,
very,
why now? Of course, they've said PPDA is going to interrogate the whole thing. Why now?
Why now?
PPDA is always involved. Even here, UBC, even when you're buying microphones, PPDA is supposed to be. It's a government agency that is in charge of procurement. You cannot come in at the last minute.
last minute.
Where were you?
And this is very sad because we seem to be taking our young people for granted.
Not necessarily. We are taking the entire system for granted.
Anyway, yes.
Because I've been to events and very many places. I cover the president, I cover the ministers, I cover the private sector, and everybody. We're talking about supporting local businesses because we know the multiplier effect.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And while
should
doing
we?
things
And
like this,
the
there's
money
no
that
way.
Rowena earns here by making gowns or stuff, there's a way it trickles into the grandmother down in Fort Portal.
Yes.
Or someone else down in Busia or wherever. Why, So basically, you have to make gowns and ship them in a plane or maybe in a.
So that's much more money spent.
And you know how much
think
money it
about
costs.
it. And it's also costing.
And even when they're making it from there, do you know how they laugh at us, honestly?
Exactly.
And this is something I always say, that we really have to stand out and be counted. As a country, we cannot afford to keep
We
on.
need to have
We
more
cannot
faith
afford
in
to taking our
ourselves.
resources.
I think-
And that's why sometimes I kept to ask myself, is it true what you're being told? Or there's more, you know? That's
Yeah.
why, it is, you know, they say there's more than what catches the eye.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
why did this person, you know, there are very dirty deals that are
I
struck.
wouldn't
People
want to
want,
just think it's
you
just
know,
rumors, because if these students are frustrated and they've come
Yes,
out
yes.
to say these things, because they're the ones paying the money, their parents are giving them the money to pay for this, some of them are paying for themselves, and they're complaining. So
Yes.
pretty much there's no, how they call it, there's no smoke without the fire.
The fire.
And and you know, we keep saying, oh, it's not appropriate, the students are always striking, but come on.
And you see, the other challenge is
too
that
much.
often people say that they're going to talk, they're going to talk, then finally they'll go and sleep. So the
Eh,
business
as we're not going to stop
today is the
talking.
last day of the graduation, of course. So they expect this out to be out of the media, but we're still going to
No,
interrogate
we're
the
still
issue,
going to talk
because
about
one
it. It's,
fact is that. When the supermarket, I would say, it was being opened, we say there was an issue. It has always been an issue. Remember in the past, like there in 2005 to about 2000 and about 2012, you'll go to a supermarket and you'll think that you're probably in South Africa or maybe in Kenya.
Yeah.
Or probably in
Because
Egypt,
there's nothing
there's
Ugandan.
nothing Ugandan there. You realize that you look at everything, even some of the products you couldn't pronounce the names, but you just know it's a sweet, yes, but how do you pronounce the sweet? Now, right now, if you go to this supermarket, you realize that the Ugandans we are trying to catch up. Of course, there is a very big benefit of doing that, but then let's not only look at the supermarkets and the rest. Let's look down into this. And this is the same question I asked. I don't want to mention this, but I recently got a diary. I think someone who's watching this will know. Dennis was going to talk about this. I received. I don't have a beef or a vendetta with any other country or which sends like invests here. But I think like I received the diary and I started reading it, and I got to realize that I can't actually understand the diary. It's supposed to be a diary with a calendar on it, but the whole thing. Anyway, let me just stop there, because this topic is going to someone.
It's going to, yeah.
But anyway, the fact is this:
everything,
we don't hate the Chinese investors. Yes, we don't hate whatever, but we really have to interrogate the procurement. And I think if a Ugandan can supply, can do something, let them be the priority.
Do it. Yes.
And if they are not considered, those ones who don't consider them should be held to account.
Indeed.
Why is it so?
Because these are things, first of all, we're skilling people every day in things like tailoring, in things like we're training people, with the manufacturers, so all of this investment you're putting in these people and not giving them the opportunity. What are we doing?
I went to a presidential initiative on skilling the girl child somewhere in Wandegea. Girls are making very nice dresses.
Yes.
You make just gowns where you can get a big cloth of black.
I told you this last year.
You just make one size fits all.
I told you this last year, Dennis. All the weddings I've attended, the last 2 years, I have someone who has made them for me. And you would think I went to some shop and bought some things that have been imported into the country. Let's give these people opportunities, and let's give the manufacturers here the opportunities. It is very sad, and we're not going to stop talking about this. We'll keep bringing these discussions over. Let's go to Karuma. Dennis, our time.
I think our time is moving.
Since you went there, and there's a number of things I know I can't wait
like
to
I
hear.
said, I arrived this morning. I think, by the way, I have a nice feature, I would say, that I'm working on.
You're working on.
Today I'm working on a feature on of course, NRM at 34. I'll just look at about 6-7 minute piece of some of the infrastructure, some of the developments that have taken place in the last 30 or so years, and where we are, where we expect to be, and that's why that I ended up in Karuma. And Karuma, of course, is a flagship project which is supposed to supply this economy with about 600 megawatts of power. It was supposed to be coming onto stream late last year. It never. Then it's up there. It has also been postponed to November this year. And if you are there, of course, they say the contractor say they're 95%. They're 95% completed. But basically at 95%, you realize that we are there, and when they talk about 95% and you see what is there, you realize 95 is a lot. Yeah. So I was in Karuma, talked about, had a...
So it's not 95% complete?
It might be 95%, considering the fact, I told someone, just moving earth to start constructing that place.
Oh, yeah.
It was like moving a whole mountain. So that entire movement of that entire mountain might have actually been 5% of the entire project.
Exactly.
Because you have to construct those. There are terms that I don't need to start the audits of this world and whatever. But anyway, it's a place as a Ugandan. Let me hope in the near future Ugandans will be given that opportunity to go to visit such things, so that they can really appreciate what was done there. So the progress is at 95. Really, I think Karuma is going to be one of the most, in the near future, will be one of the most beautiful places to be, to go and visit. There are nice houses. Of course, the delay has been there. Of the UEGCL, I think NBS the other day did a story whereby they say the delay will come with some financial consequences, where government is supposed to pay about 600 billion shillings for that 95%.
So what is the spokesperson here?
They say that as far as they are aware, there's nothing like an additional amount of money to be added in the construction works of the Karuma Power Dam. So of course they talked about the delays, which they said it was caused by the evacuation lines. You know, the evacuation line has to stretch all the way from Kampala, from Karuma down to Kampala. Then there's another line from there to Lira, which will supply the eastern as well, northern route. I'm sure even in the near future we'll be supplying countries like Congo and South Sudan with electricity. So I'll be working on that piece. And then for those ones who'll be watching subsequent bulletins today, be sure to watch that one. And besides that, I'm also working on a feature story. This one is an investigative piece. It should be out on Thursday next week and Friday, and of course Business Today will have it. It is the Mwelo Rock land acquisition saga, and it's a crazy one. You know, this is a place where I went and I realized quite often the public is not consulted when there is a project, and then they propose a project on you, then we realize their queries, they start querying the project, then the project ends up stalling, then that is it.
Then we go into the whole, so that's going to be a lovely one, of course, for us to have. Now, of course, I love that you pointed out the Karuma and what we anticipate to deliver with Karuma. So I'd love to think we don't need to destroy the Uhuru Falls at Murchison.
But for Karuma thing also, in our interaction was, of course, every other time there is a delay, you find the public is always interested in that. But one thing that we should also be keen, we might push for Karuma to be completed on time, but we already have a surplus of about 500 megawatts.
Thank you.
Before we start putting a lot of pressure on this power dam to be completed, can we please make some investment? Can we organize ourselves, make use of what you have? You know, I also request the likes of the Umemes and of this world to make sure that the power supply within is also the high quality. Because lately it is crazy, and I think something has to be. And I think in the next couple of days we need to knock on their doors.
Yes,
and they tell
we
us
have
what is
to knock on their doors.
But personally, I look at this. I've been covering the sector for a while. I think one thing that had not been anticipated is the quick growth, the population growth. It has been very fast, and since it's very fast, there's a lot of congestion on these transformers. You know now, so because the number of, for example, the likes, for example, Nigeria never had people.
You never had
look
people,
at the number of houses that
everyone wants to
you
be
go
in
to
Nigeria.
Matuga, somewhere here in Matuga, and you see how many people. So there was a transformer that was supposed to supply 3,000 homes.
But
now
see,
there are
those are the
7,000 homes
things that they need to have, anticipated for, things they need to have planned for. Because, come on, this is the population, and we know it. This is a country, for one, where the population seems to just get out of control.
So one thing they need to do is that they have been talking about, of course, they get some money sometime last year, late last year, to help improve the quality of the power supply. But I think they need to move very fast, because you look at this, electricity runs this economy. You know?
That is true.
Yes, whether we like it or not, it is the one that is, is the engine of this economy. Without a good supply of electricity, you cannot have.
If not, we need to really invest in alternatives.
Yes, that is it.
Because then, if we cannot, if it's not sustainable, then we need to look for alternatives.
So one thing is that they need to work on the transformers, work on the lines afresh, because when they
they talk
nowadays,
about
my colleague was telling me nowadays, the moment you see the cloud covering like this, power goes off. It's as if someone is just there. Like,
even when it's slight drizzles, they're like, okay, someone's on standby. Exactly.
No.
Well,
power is supposed to be there all the time.
There's a funny joke someone made. I'll not say it because then I'll be in trouble for it.
Please.
But when you don't have power in your home and then you also go to give complaints, only to find there's no power. You've gone to complain. Anyway, so real quick, Dennis, who is to blame for the
building collapses?
Who is supposed to monitor these people? Who is supposed to, because yes, we have site engineers and everyone is saying the site engineer has run away and things like that. And don't we have, a certain body, someone that are supposed to follow up on things like this to make sure that you're up to the standards, maybe the time in which you're having these buildings up? Who is to blame?
Today the topics have been so hot to an extent that my body temperature has gone so high. So the challenge is this: it's like we keep on doing the moving 5 steps forward, 4 behind, sometimes even 7 behind. Because one, it's always beats my understanding. The buildings, like for example, even in downtown Kampala, they're on the first floor, they're done with the first floor, they go to the second floor. The ground floor, people have already moved in. Businesses already taking place.
And that's in months, by the way.
In months. You wake up in the morning like, oh my God, how did this end up here?
I passed here yesterday. How did it happen?
How did it happen?
Yeah.
So one, I think, of course, people make money. I think we go to banks. Banks give you money, or where you get your money from.
But I want to
so
think
someone
it's not
says,
about
like,
the
let
money,
me set this
Dennis.
building very fast. I get the tenants in. Then I start paying my what? Whatever is a mortgage.
To clear the loan and
yes,
everything. I understand, because I wouldn't want to think it's just about the money. There is having the money, there is having...
Yes.
And I know people are trying to beat that time frame that they've given the banks to start covering their loans. But think about what the structure needs. Because, with this kind of materials we're using, it's with time that they actually get stronger. You're very right. That's why cement always have to pour water on it. Thank you. The longer it stays, the longer it goes through all of these beatings. That's what makes a good building.
Yes.
But here you are. It hasn't even dried up quite well. And the next thing you're on the next floor. So you're putting all that weight
on the ground,
on the foundation that is not set.
Yes.
And it's bothering me so much why people think that the longer a building stays, it means you don't have money to complete your building.
And secondly, we get back to our engineers, the guys who are in charge of this project.
But these people are also under pressure from the owners of these buildings. And he also wants to make money. And then, that's the thing. It comes back down from who is the owner of this building to the engineers that seem not to have a stand. We have engineers that are told what to do.
Of course.
You're supposed to set the trend for whoever is giving you this job, because they don't know about your job.
That is very true.
That's why I'm asking, who then do we blame? There needs to be something, some way of monitoring, of setting.
And the challenge is that we can talk about this.
If your building goes up too fast, you need to be questioned.
Some people should, like for example, the building that collapsed recently, I think in Zambia, the other one, has anyone ever been...
Not so far. Last year was...
Because at the end of the day, it is not more... The builders are not the big... The issue is not the builder. The builder just receives material on ground.
Saying,
He's supposed to do his work.
And he has
there is a supervisor who is supposed to ensure that everything goes to plan. There is that structural engineer, I don't know, who is supposed to ensure that this is the size of the metal that is supposed to be put down.
This is
the mixture that is supposed to be on the foundation. This is supposed to be the brick that is supposed to be... The bricks that are supposed to be used on the ground floor, and this is supposed to be because you cannot use the same
there needs to be a foreman or whatever, or site engineer that needs to insist and tell the owner, whoever is running this business, no, we need this much time. So we need to have a break for this building and then come back, in this certain amount of time for us to proceed.
It's really, I think
someone needs to do something.
And some people need to be held accountable, and it's not just a matter of us talking like the way we have talked about.
Well, for us, we're only talking because
that's our work. We need to. We are passing out some very critical information for those ones. They say, I say, "Kwana masikio, I'm really scared." Like if you don't have the ears.
Because here's people's lives at stake. Here's your entire money that you think you're rushing to cover that is going down the drain. Now imagine when these buildings go down, it's very hard now to get someone else to come back and work for you.
Yes, and besides that, looking at this case, someone is buried alive. In a construction site.
In a construction site.
Then you as a relative, you're going to wait for the body to be removed from underground. That's not how it's... Something really needs to be done. It should not be an issue of just having stories in the newspaper. There are some of the issues that need to be tackled immediately. And this need government to... I'm so sure there's a department, probably in the urban planning,
if your building is going too fast, you need to be questioned, you need to be stopped and things like that. And the people that are actually putting these buildings up, or the owners of them or something, or the landlords or whoever, they need to know that it's also going to cost them at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's sure.
It will cost them. Okay, and also you, if you're renting, please don't go in an incomplete building. Just because the ground floor is complete, and then you say, I'll take on the ground floor building. No, that's not something. I think we need to also take it upon ourselves. So Dennis, our time has run out. But we must say it is a weekend. Or is Dennis your final words?
I would say mine has always been that December. I think December was ended. We had very few accidents and incidences, which is a good thing.
Which we need to
January
continue,
as well. Let's just take good care of ourselves. And we've been talking about Bubu. I think I really have to please people out there who in government or whatever, in those in authority. Let's give our people the opportunity to do business.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I must also say that our time has run out. Rowena Kajumba is my name, and Dennis Sigoa, my co-host here, who does come in every Friday. As you know, he goes around to the field and sees many of these things. So it's very good to have Light there. Have yourselves a lovely weekend from us and the team.
Bye.